Hi, this is Aaron Wilson from the NFL Scouting Combine. We spoke today with Texans General Manager Nick Caserio. We touched on several topics. Here are some of my biggest takeaways. The Texans are in no rush to do a Derek Stingley contract extension, but they are committed to doing so at some point this offseason. I've heard all along that this will be the year that they'll do the Stingley deal, and I expect him to be the highest paid corner in the NFL, and deservedly so. You think about the skills, the way he's played, how he conducts himself, the way he's a willing tackler, just rare ball skills, the ability to go get the football, to catch it like a wide receiver and high point the football, just outstanding in every category of cornerback play. So he's extremely deserving, and Nick Caserio reiterated that they expect to work on a contract extension for Derek Stingley Jr., which is good news for Texans fans. Not unexpected, but that is the stance of the organization. As Nick said, Derek Stingley has expressed a desire to be in Houston. They want him to stay in Houston. They will work hard on this deal. They have a good relationship with David Mulugeta, and I expect this to happen at some point. Perhaps the timing is like Nico Collins' deal, where it's early spring or summer. I just don't expect it to be something they feel like they have to do. They're in no rush on that deal. To more current topics, Stefon Diggs, free agent wide receiver. The door is open, according to Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans, and they said they will have discussions with him just like they will with all of their free agents. The big wrinkles to work through: when is Stefon going to be fully healthy? Outlook is pretty good from a torn ACL. He tore it in October, and he's made excellent progress. I'm told he's working very hard, and he is interested in coming back. But like with everything with free agency, it comes back to price. And can they meet his price? What's his expectation financially? I haven't heard yet what kind of numbers Stefon Diggs is expecting coming off of a torn ACL. Obviously, that does decrease your value, but he played very good football for them. They feel good about Stefon, how he fit into the organization. So that would fix the number 2 wide receiver spot opposite Nico Collins, but there's other ways they can do it too. Deebo Samuel's available for a trade. Obviously, Cooper Kupp is, and most teams are waiting to see when the Rams will cut Cooper and when the 49ers, perhaps they move on from Deebo. I expect the 49ers at least to get something for Deebo. I'm not sure about a Kupp trade because of recent injuries. So you look at this wide receiver class, they're meeting with the top wide receivers here at the Combine. They come back like Luka. They are, definitely going to explore the draft and free agency to try to address the position, because you want to have a young team. That's one thing that Nick really reinforced. They feel like they're a young, competitive team. They feel good about playing young players and their ability to get them ready to play, like Kamari Lassiter, like Kalen Bullock, like C.J. Stroud the year before, like Derek Stingley prior to them. And they feel confident in their ability to restructure contracts if they see opportunity in free agency to pounce on a free agent that maybe they didn't expect them to be available. Maybe the price is affordable. So I think the Texans, like Nick said, they'll lose some free agents. They'll sign back some of the free agents, and nothing's really imminent or pending on anything. There are extension candidates. If you wanted to do more, maybe a raise for Danielle Hunter, you could also just restructure his contract, give him a signing bonus, and turn that big base salary into something that is more manageable from a cap standpoint. The Texans have that flexibility with several players. They can also do that with Nico Collins, and I think the Texans will have some flexibility financially, and I feel confident in Nick's ability to restructure contracts, his relationships, and the way those contracts are designed, the mechanisms within them to get more cap space, which is what you need. You got to have some really space on the credit card to be able to compete financially. Turning to some other topics, they really feel good about Cole Popovich, and they feel like Cole, with a one voice and a different voice than what they heard from Chris Strausser, who was fired, they have an opportunity to improve across the offensive line. Obviously, they made a gigantic investment in the offensive line already, but I don't think they'll run it back with the same offensive line. I think they'll make some changes. Perhaps that's Shaq Mason. Perhaps it's Titus Howard if they can't reach a financial compromise. Maybe Titus goes back to right tackle. Maybe it's all guards that they're trying to add in center. We'll see how they go about that and who actually makes it to free agency. Kind of feels like Trey Smith might not get to free agency. The Chiefs, excuse me, the Chiefs guard, two sneezes. It looks like the Chiefs are going to do what they can to keep Trey Smith. I always thought he was out of the Texans' price tag. I look at some of the other guys that are out there. There's Will Fries. See how much money he costs coming from the Colts right here in Indianapolis. And in talking to Nick, just seemed to be in a very good state of mind in terms of his mesh with DeMeco Ryans, how he's feeling about the organization, how he's feeling about the team. Something else came out today, and the working conditions at NRG Stadium got high marks. The NFL Players Association, which is the union for the players, every year they do a anonymous player poll report card where they get the input from the players. And the Texans, they ranked 6th out of 32 teams. Last year, they were 7th, and the year before that, they were 4th overall. So they've been getting high marks for a couple of things. DeMeco Ryans gets an A as far as his ability to relate to players and be flexible and manage their time efficiently. Cal McNair also got an A. Cal McNair and Hannah McNair and the whole ownership group got an A. They got an A because of what the players sense is how much they care about helping the team be as competitive as possible. They want to win and to give them the resources to win. They also got very high marks for food and nutrition. Players say the food is tasty, it's fresh, it's nutritious. Ladd Harris runs that group. They got high marks for the strength program with Matt Van Dyke, with Mike Eubanks, and for the weight room. One of the only complaints, and it's being fixed, because I get a lot of questions about this, they are going to get a sauna. That was in the report. The players want a sauna. And they had a sauna, and they took it out after COVID, and they want to get that back in there. Nick Caserio says they're going to make that happen. The sauna is coming back, so the players can get a sweat and maybe relax a little bit after a tough practice or a tough lift and get in the sauna. Who doesn't like the sauna? Most people like that, and it is good for you. So for the players, that's coming back. So if any players are out there watching this video, you're going to get the sauna. So your complaints have been heard. They are going to address that, and they're going to get you guys the sauna you've been asking for. In terms of other things on the report, they didn't really get low marks for anything. It was either all A's and B's. They did better than a lot of other teams. Some of the working conditions there, like the locker room, the training room, the training staff, a lot of that was put in place even before Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans' arrival. So that was already kind of started back in the Bill O'Brien regime when they were working on a few of these things, trying to get the facility as good as possible. So the Texans, they want to, and Nick addressed this too, it's encouraging that the program is regarded highly, that they take care of their players, that everything is about making the players feel as good as possible and able to perform on the field and to have healthy food, all the things you would hope for from a professional sports organization. And, talking with Nick, one thing he doesn't have to go hunting for is a quarterback. They got C.J. Stroud. He feels really good about C.J. He thinks C.J. is going to work extremely hard this offseason, be really dedicated. Not that he wasn't last year. I think there was a perception that he was doing too many things, too many interviews, that kind of thing. Well, I don't think that's going to be the case. And he's already kind of pulled back on a lot of that stuff because perception can be reality, right? So for CJ, he'd like to just kind of hone in on this Nick Caley offense. They've already been meeting. I'm told that's going well. And their collaboration as they talk about plays and talk about getting the playbook. What are they going to call things? What's the install like? All that stuff so they can have that ready for the players when they come back to work in April for the offseason program and then the organized team activities and the mandatory minicamp, the rookie minicamp that they'll have before all that, and then some time off before training camp. And the Texans are one of those teams that, I'm talking to people here around Indy, going to various restaurants, bars, just talking with some of my friends that work around the NFL. Texans are respected now. Texans are thought of highly. Texans are thought of as a contender and a serious football team. And that has changed a lot in the last 2 years. And you got to credit a lot of that to DeMeco Ryans, his leadership, and to Nick Caserio, his vision for the roster. And Nick is not a self-promoter at all. He doesn't pat himself on the back, but he has done a good job of adding to this roster, drafting well, drafting players like Kamari Lassiter and last year Kalen Bullock, and on free agent hits like Daniil Hunter. So they're doing their best. I think, you look at Will Anderson Jr., you look at a lot of the players they've added to the roster, the Texans are in good shape. And whether they can take that next step, as D'Amico Ryan's reference, we're going to see. It's a lot of things that are going to happen between now and when they kick off the season. We'll see what the schedule's like. We'll see who's back on the team, who's not on the team, and what outside free agents they sign, who do they draft. And this is a real opportunity for the Texans to get to know some of these prospects. They've been meeting with some of the top players in the NFL draft rather, I should say. And they feel good about their opportunity to get better as a team. The Texans really aren't that tough a fix if you think about it. Offensive line, got to get some better play out of the tight ends, and obviously, adding to the wide receiving core. These aren't the toughest positions to draft and develop. I'm talking to a couple of general managers here. The Texans have a left tackle. Texans have a quarterback. Texans have a number one wide receiver. Texans have two outstanding corners. Texans have a linebacker, Aziz Al-Shaair. They've got bookend pass rushers, Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter. There's no reason why the Texans can't be competitive in 2026, 2027, obviously 2025, and really have a team that's a perennial playoff team that is in the hunt. And, the Chiefs, they have to retool. The Ravens had a disappointing ending, sort of the Buffalo Bills. The only one's happy right now, and I'm actually here at a podium that you saw Nick Caserio, the Eagles coach, he was here. And so the Eagles, they're the ones that are happy. They're the ones that can celebrate because, the confetti dropped at the end, and they had the Vince Lombardi trophy hoisting in the air. The Texans want to be one of those teams and win the first Super Bowl and reach the first AFC championship in franchise history. To get to that point, it's going to take a lot of good decisions, a lot of hard work, but at least now the Texans have a lot of hope, and I feel positive about the Texans' chances. Couldn't say that always, but right now the Texans are in a good state of mind, in a good position, and I do think they'll get that cap space and they'll make a few moves. It's really hard for me to tell you right now what they'll plan to do because I think the plan's it's really still being formulated, still changing, and we'll know a lot more once they start to spend some money and negotiate with some of their own free agents, and that's something that'll happen once they kind of get back to Houston. Right now, they'll just have the kind of preliminary meetings with agents. A lot of them are in town for a meeting that's scheduled for Friday here at the Indiana Convention Center, and we'll have much more coverage on a daily basis here on my channel and on my Twitter/X, Aaron Wilson _NFL, Instagram, Aaron Wilson 7128, and of course at KPRC2 on television. I'm on television a little bit this week, and at www.click2houston.com. Keep it locked, and we got you covered for the whole off season and in season and everything in between.